Hi, this is Giovanni here at Frap Tools, and today we will take a look at this patch. We will see how to create a rudimentary techno sound with just this setup here. So FUMANA will be the core of this patch as the main sound shaping tool. BRENSO will be our voice, and USTA will take care of sending a lot of modulation over FUMANA to create also a rhythmic pattern. And we may use a little bit of FALISTRI too as well. So I'm going to start by patching my final output into FUMANA's main input. First of all, I'm going to set this knob at noon or counterclockwise, it doesn't matter, and these two fully counterclockwise. In this way, I'm going to disengage the macro controls and avoid any unwanted peak or notch in my sound spectra. This is going to stay at noon, and then I can already see that my input is clipping, so I'm going to turn it a little bit down until the red light is dimmer, and then I'm going to patch the all output to the quad stereo channel. Now I should be able to hear a very low rumbling note. I'm going to set it all the way down, since I'm gonna use USTA then to change the frequency. I use the final output. I like to use the final output because I have a lot of control over the parameters, and I can easily achieve a very rich sound that fills the high end even with such low notes. Then I'm gonna set up a new project on the USTA sequencer. So hold down the navigation encoder, access the project menu, new project, initialize, yes, no name. For this patch, I'm after a sort of techno sound, so I'm gonna use USTA in a fairly orthodox way, with all the 4 tracks running at the same tempo and at the same clock resolution, which is going to be, of course, 130, or perhaps even 35. Let's do 33. I'm going to apply the same setting to all the track. So before setting the tempo on one track, I'm going to hold down set all, and then all my tracks are at 133. And if I push play, I can see that the playhead is playing a quarter notes because the ratio is 1:1. So I'm going to set the ratio to 1:4, still holding down set all, and now all my tracks are at a nice 133/16 pattern. Now I may need to patch a melody. I'm gonna use CVA of track 1 to control BRENSO's pitch. I can start one note higher. And at this point I am tempted to select a mode because I'm fairly lazy and I have not that many ideas as for a rhythmic pattern. So what I'm gonna do is to enter the track and select a scale or mode. So I'm gonna go for a Phrygian sound because yes. And now the other tracks are still chromatic, but I don't need them as a pitch generator, so I can start tweaking the knobs. There we go, instant riff. Now I am gonna use FUMANA also as a sort of drum machine or a rhythm generator. So first of all, a personal favorite of mine, I'm gonna send a gate straight into the modulation input. Modulation input is meant to be used for like spectral transferring or vocoding, but nobody stops you from throwing into that gates or trigs, which are even better. So I am going to set up a 4 on the floor pattern, like this. I can control the decay. And it is already sounding quite nice. So by increasing the wave folding, I am bringing some sound over to this area up here, which is gonna be useful in a while. And so I got the kick, or at least a sort of. But there is another way of adding even more punch to this sort of kick drum, which is quite soft for now. And it is through the exponential FM input on the BRENSO. Because the exponential FM input, as opposed to the linear FM input, also accepts DC signals, even quantized voltages. So I'm gonna patch an envelope from Falistri, which I'm gonna set to transient mode, and I'm gonna use it to change the pitch of my yellow oscillator. If it is long, you can hear it better. But this is not how I'm gonna use it, because I'm gonna set another pattern, another gate pattern on the USTA sequencer. So I set 4 gates to achieve a 4 on the floor. There is another way of, or at least a couple of ways of having gates in a sort of division of the main resolution, which in this case is 16th note. For example, by using, well, no, actually, you know what? If you know other ways of achieving more sparse gates or gates in a specific resolution to the main melody, let me know in the comments below. And I'm gonna set the other, I'm gonna use another gate track, still on track 1, another gate channel, to trigger my Falistri here. And I can start by setting the same gates as track 1. Well, this is not, it's okay. If I set a very slow, a very fast decay, perhaps with a exponential decay, I have a more snappy sound, which I can then make a little bit hard, warmer by saturating a little bit FUMANA and the CGM. Of course, I can start to play with a combination of these 2 gate tracks. Something like that. But there is still something missing at this point, which is the cymbals. So to obtain a sort of cymbal, I like to set up another gate track. So I'm gonna head on to track 2 and prepare a solid 16th gate pattern, which I'm gonna use to, which I'm gonna route straight into Falistri's slew limiter, which then I am going to patch to the tilt input. So what's happening now is that I am using the slew limiter as a sort of fake envelope, so that it will create a sort of very fast rising and falling edge. It will smooth my gate into a sort of envelope, which I like a lot to use for this purpose here. This is fundamental, so this is it is necessary to have a rich sound, so that the bass line down here also has a sort of high harmonic content to be excited by this. Now, some of you may wonder, why didn't you use an envelope like the green generator? The reason is that I like how the linear slew limiter plays when we change, when we tweak it, just like in a live performance. The organic way it integrates the stream of gates. So I'm not triggering a circuit, I am just integrating and I'm processing the gate. And I like this sort of fake high-pass filter before the drop. Now, by playing with the release time over the envelope follower, I am giving more tail to the bass drum. So at this point I have some other options, because I still have the parametric scanner down here to take advantage of. And I also have, I can set these faders to the middle position, so that I can still hear a little bit of the bass line. And a way of doing it is, for example, by setting a CV track. It can be either CVB of track 1, CVB of track 2, or another independent track. So I'm gonna start with CVB of track 2. I'm gonna set it to mid-level, set all the stages to green, and this is basically all a very flexible, a 16-stage envelope, so to speak. So I can change it, set some stages higher, some stages lower. Because what I'm trying to achieve now is a sort of acid bass sound. So I'm gonna patch this to my the parametric scanner, the center knob. And if I remove the bass drum, make them make their transition faster. In a sort of almost like a sample and hold. And now I can trig another envelope since I have it, so I'm gonna set it to transient mode, same setting as the yellow one. And now I'm gonna use another gate track, perhaps still on my track 2, to trig it. Now it is empty, but I can create another pattern, completely different, which then I'm gonna use to control the peak notch parameter. Bring in the kick. Let's go back to a more steady pattern. Then I can fine-tune my CVB track. For example, set back all the stages to green again. For this sort of squelchy kind of sound. And of course, I haven't touched the BRENSO yet, but I can also control the wave shaper or the wave folder source through another CV track, which can be CVB of track 2. I can set, for example, only the second half of the pattern to change its its timbre, or I can route it to the wave folder. But I personally like this. At this point, I may cap it here, but I am curious to try something different than the video we posted on Instagram, because I want to try to bring a little bit more of melody, so, or at least a sort of harmonic background to this Phrygian track. And I'm gonna patch a band whose sound I like, which can be this one. Could be a good idea. Oh, I forgot to patch the reverb. So left, right, and C. Which one sounds better? Like this one. Let's see how it pairs with the rest of the melody. It's not bad. And I perhaps can use a third CV track on the USTA sequencer to bring the reverb in and out at certain stages, like 3 and 4. Let's see how it's gonna sound. This way I have a sort of gated reverb. Which is an extra resource. On the other hand, I can try to invert the channels and so I've got my kick on channel 2 and my band on channel 1, whose reverb send I can now CV control. I can also try other bands to see which sounds better. I personally love this one. Which was this? Yes. And now adjust the levels. Don't be afraid to saturate the group. This is it. I hope you had fun, and I'll see you next time.